Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Father, what is out there beyond the skies?
The watchful eye rules the skies, you know this?
But what if we had the means to reach the skies? What if there are others besides the Baul?
If the great balance had meant for us to fly, we would have been given wings.
But does the watchful eye have wings? We sacrifice our own kind to the Baul instead of asking if we could be like them.
The balance must not be upset. Those who offer their lives do so that the Baul can be sustained, so that the rest of us may live in peace and comfort. The time will come for each of us. That is the balance. That is how it has always been. And you will question it no more.
All right.
There it goes.
There we go.
Rolling.
We've pushed the buttons
Yeah,
that
we're
tell us
rolling.
that we've started recording.
Record.
There's a clock over here.
We will record. We will record now.
We will
sounds
record in
weird.
this decade and do the other things. You have to do the whole thing. Your voice is better, but you got to get the extra. We will record in this decade and do the other things.
We will record.
Okay, all right, I got it.
And decade the main thing.
You sound like you're like in a bad Zoom connection. What Kennedy said in that speech. Sorry for the digression because we are starting the podcast. But what Kennedy said in that speech was, "We will go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. We will go to the moon in this decade,
At the end of the decade,
and do the other things.
took a long time.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard."
Right.
You told her. You told her.
All right. Okay.
You told her. Bluesky. Bluesky. You told her. Bluesky. You
That's from
told her.
For the Cause, right?
Yeah.
Quark in For the Cause.
You told her.
You observed that
You
his
told
voice.
her. Bluesky.
sounded
You
similar
told
forward and
her.
backward.
Bluesky. You told her. Bluesky. You told her.
Some kind of Twin
Bluesky.
Peaks shit.
So, welcome. I know it's a little delayed, this welcome, but welcome.
A delayed welcome.
Welcome
Hello.
to the It's Got Star Trek podcast. Hey. You find yourself,
Hey.
you fair audience listener, you find yourselves in whatever position you may find yourselves, at home,
And you may ask yourself,
at work,
Oh no.
that's not my beautiful
jogging
wife.
along in the park,
Jogging.
in a submarine beneath the sea,
Ill-advised.
whatever situation you may find yourself.
Submarine beneath the sea.
You will find yourself listening to
In a shotgun
episode
shack.
234 of the It's Got Star Trek podcast.
Did you do that? Don't do that. That's rude.
That's what we've done. We've done this at the conclusion of this podcast, presuming we make it to the end. And if you're hearing
I don't
this,
think so.
I'm guessing we did.
Liar.
Then we will have concluded 234 episodes of the It's Got Star
Yeah,
Trek
that's
podcast.
a lot of
Liar.
And that does not count bonus episodes.
That's nearly like one of them sesquicentennials.
Very nearly. And it
I did not.
And it doesn't count all the Patreon content that we've been developing and putting up on our Patreon. Hey, Dan, do you happen to know where folks can find our Patreon? If they are so inclined, if they're interested in a little extra bonus fun times.
On the internet.
I love you, Daddy.
Okay. Yeah, but Dan, do you know the website?
Sabotage.
We had a little problem with this last week. You might not recall.
Yes.
Do you know
I love you, Daddy.
this week? Do you know the website to direct people to our Patreon? These are people who either want to see free samples, get little tastes of what's available, or pay the $3 a month to get the whole shebang. Where would they go?
Patreon.episode/ It's Got Star Trek.
Dan.
Am I right?
Dan's fooling around a little bit here.
Am I right?
Are you fooling over there?
Where you would go is Patreon.
I'm gonna tell you where to go.
Patreon.com/It's Got Star Trek.
Oh.
Easy peasy.
I know.
Yeah, it is.
/easy
You
peasy.
go there, and there's, again, free previews. There's some free content. You can check it out if you're so inclined. There's some fun, silly stuff up there. Okay.
That's what I said.
Yes. What are we talking
What are we
about?
doing?
Oh,
short tracks.
yes. We're doing this week.
Don't need no
Discovery
short
short
track.
track.
This
man.
week, we are doing Discovery-related short treks. Now, some of you out there are going to say, hey, you said you're doing Runaway. You said you're doing Calypso.
What?
You said you're doing The Brightest Star.
We did say that.
You even said you're doing The Girl Who Made the Stars. But what you didn't say you're doing
never
is
said
The
please.
Escape Artist. And there's a reason we're not doing The Escape
We already
Artist.
did it.
Yes. First of all, we already did it. I think it was in, what was it, episode 89? I think, yeah, 89. Episode
We did the Edward one.
89. Yeah, we did the Trouble with Edward one as well. But we did The Escape Artist in episode 89. So we've already discussed it. Point number 1.
Yep.
Point number 2 is, yeah, it's mud from Discovery, but the story is largely disconnected from Discovery. So don't worry about that. Just worry about the ones that we assigned you to watch. All right?
Yeah.
Good?
What are you worried about?
Exactly. Okay.
The being said. Keep your mouth shut.
So that is what we will be discussing this week. I don't have any news-em-ups or anything. Does anybody else have any news-em-ups? I guess other than to mention that
This just in.
starting next week, we will be...
My name is Dan Glaubitz.
we will be, okay, Jesse's doing one of those pretending to be Dan things. Next week, we will be starting
My name is Dan.
Oh my
our
gosh.
coverage.
I'm getting it hard today.
Our coverage of the 5th and final season of Star Trek Discovery, which is
Right.
partly why we're going over these 4 Discovery-related short treks this week. But that's the only thing I have. Jesse, Dan, either of you have any news em ups? You got any gigs that you want to advertise?
Didn't we have a little chat last week? Isn't that what we did? Instead?
Oh, did you want to do some chat em
No,
ups?
I mean not really.
Did you want to? Was there something you wanted to fill us back
sort of
for those who didn't listen to
game
last
'em
week's
ups?
episode where we discussed Star Trek Voyager's Muse? We did we piloted the chat em ups, which is where we just
What's a pilot?
It's you know what that is, that and the iBorg thing are what do you call it? Is it Twitch? It's not a Twitch.
A tick?
A tick. Yes. I don't, and I forgive me if that's not the appropriate term, but it's interesting. Dan has it. If you say pilot, he's going to quote Vincent from Pulp Fiction.
I think that
He's
that's.
going to say, "What's a pilot?"
I think that's more of a tick than me talking about iBorg, but iBorg is more just a reflex.
That's like.
Or it's not even a reflex. iBorg is iBorg.
Because sometimes you do it on purpose.
Yeah,
sometimes you lay it in. You lay in fucking weight.
Right. iBorg is more like in sort of.
I can often see it coming now.
My iBorg is often is more like an intricate sort of weaving of plots and concepts together to create a desired end.
It always leads back to the.
But the pilot, that's more like a tick. Like, what's a pilot?
Desired.
It's just
end.
fun to say it.
Desired end is a funny.
It's like saying
Desired
D's
end.
nuts.
You have a desired
It's
end.
a funny phrase.
It's like saying D's nuts, or like I watched you watch it.
Yeah, I watched you watch it.
Or then when people say excellent, I started to go like egg salad,
right?
egg salad.
As
That's
opposed
another
to
one.
as opposed to like excellent from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, like excellent party
Excellent.
time. Party
I don't
time.
go like excellent. Doo-loo-loo-loo. I don't do
Bogus.
that.
Yeah. All right. Well, chat 'em ups. I guess
I think
that was
that's
our,
it. Yeah,
that was our
that
chat 'em ups
concludes
for
the chat 'em ups.
this week, and the news 'em ups.
Now
So
it's
we
time
can
for Trek 'em ups.
we got a lot to discuss this week, so we get right
not
into
that
it.
much.
And then probably what will happen is right as we start discussing Runaway, Dan's going to chime in with like, actually, I have this anecdote that I wanted to tell you.
Yeah,
But
probably.
the thing is there's no way for us to get to that anecdote if we don't start talking about the short trek episodes. But before we talk about the specific episodes, I thought, why, friends,
Yes.
why do we not talk a little bit about the concept of short treks in general?
Say what?
It's not that complicated.
I did not understand.
Just the short tricks.
All right, so look,
as a medium.
yes. So in 2018 and 2019, they only did this 2 seasons, 2 years.
We've only talked about a couple of them.
Paramount Plus or CBS All Access, whatever the fuck it was called at the time, to hype people up for Star Trek Discovery's second season. Ahead of that season, they put out, I think it was it 4 or 5 of these short treks. And then they did the same thing the following year,
Yes.
except they folded in some Strange New World stuff.
And Picard.
And Picard, there was one
Before there was even a
Children of
Strange
Mars.
New World show.
Yeah. So cool. These were cool. Cool.
Totally cool.
It's totally cool that they developed these short form videos.
Oh yeah, there was one that
kinda like
that went up that
webisodes.
matched up with like an early Picard episode.
Yeah, that was the Children of Mars, I think they called it. Where
Either
the,
like
Children of
maybe the
Mars.
second or the
Attack.
first episode.
Children of Mars.
But
Gonna go far, gonna go far.
Is it a
Children of
song?
Mars.
is that an actual song or are you?
What do you mean it's an actual song?
Remember
I
that-
just sang
That
it.
Picard episode with the
You know what I mean.
androids, and they were all saying hell yeah.
I mean, did this come extemporaneously off of your dome? Or
Off
my
your
dome.
dome.
did you peel this shit off your dome and just slap it
Are
out
you
there?
peeling?
Mars.
Are you peeling dome over there?
All right. I'm not going to get an answer to
Mars,
Peeling
gonna
down.
get far, beautiful Mars.
that. So,
Beautiful Mars.
We're not talking about Mars.
Beautiful
dude.
Mars.
all right.
Beautiful Mars.
Short
gonna go
tracks.
far, beautiful Mars.
Is that like they might be giants or something?
Everybody wants prosthetic foreheads on their wrists. And the people praying, and the people come inside,
Does
and the
that
people tan.
answer my
They gotta
question?
blow my playground, or what is it? They gonna burn the foreheads down.
Everybody likes a rock to wind a piece of string around. Okay. All right. We're getting there.
We're losing control rapidly.
No. Everything's fine. We're talking about short treks. We're talking about how they were clearly an advertising mechanism a la the webisodes of yore.
Webisode.
Back in the day, Battlestar Galactica did some webisodes that were actually pretty good. A lot of shows had webisodes that were some
Webisodes.
bullshit.
Webisodes.
They were just some bullshit.
Webisodes.
But these, I
Bubble-
think that
bubble
these
use.
short tracks introduced the idea of a great format where it's shorter, it's not constrained to a specific time. We've often talked about stories that they've done on Star Trek where it
One
feels
of
like
the
they've stretched it out to fill the hour.
It's like short. There's certain types of short stories you read that are just a few little pages.
Yeah.
It's just this little blip, you know.
Yeah.
And then they're cool to read like that.
yeah, like baby shoes for sale, never worn.
I think like one of the short treks had Alita Battle Angel in it.
Yes, that was the Trouble with Edward.
Rosa Salazar.
Yes, and that's one of my favorites. A lot of
then it
people
had
hate the
one
Trouble
had-
with Edward. That was the same one with
John
H.
Benjamin.
John
Oh, right, that was
Benjamin.
the same one, right? Yeah, it's H. John Benjamin.
And granted, we're not talking about that. this
No,
week,
we already talked about.
but that's a good one.
But just to give you paint a
But that's a
picture
good
for
one.
you.
it. We already did that one.
Yeah, we did already discuss that one. Dan might not have been here. for
Look
that.
back.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of this concept, and I'm a little sad that they haven't continued it. I do think these are sort
been
of
years.
They're like an evolution of the webisode because
Webisode.
because the webisode
One time, a teacher criticized my netiquette because I didn't sign it at the end of my email. I didn't put like from Dan at the end. So she was like,
Did she complain that you didn't have an inspirational quote
No.
or a quote from a sci-fi thing?
yeah, I didn't put enough effort into the signature. No, I just
Was she
didn't.
mad that you didn't have a script to rotate the quotes from an LZH file that was just like filled with quotes? you
Yeah.
know? And then so every email you sent would be a different one.
Boy, she was steamed about that one.
Man,
Did you call her a bee?
Netiquette.
a B.
A B.
How long is it going to TikTok?
The Borg. B.
There
The Borg.
we go.
B. The Borg.
A duck. Indeed. Okay, so webisodes were sort of silly and trashy. Not always, but you know.
Trashy.
They were. I think they were
Trashy.
more nakedly commercial.
Ooh, there was nudity.
The
How
short
titillating.
treks-
Was it titillating?
Look, I know people.
Was the nudity titillating?
Noodles.
was the nude titular character titillating?
Ocelot.
You're not helping, Jesse. You're encouraging.
Totally.
What was I saying? Something about not
Titillating
the
titular
nudity.
Tory talk to the tall Temerian. Temerian. Is
Oh,
that
good. Way to bring
There
it back
you go,
to
dude.
way to bring it back to Star Trek.
a titular titillating Tory talked to a tall Temerian? A titillating titular Tory talked to a tall Temerian.
Do Temerians have Tories?
Tory. Oh man,
Is it like the the British
Like the party?
Conservative Party?
it's the Tory lorry.
Yeah. Okay.
More mush makes
guys
me.
are
More mush makes me mad. More mush makes me mad. Those are vocal exercises.
So short treks are good.
They are good. I like
they
them.
may they
But
may
the
vary-
webisodes were trashy.
Okay, look, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush. 'cause,
Ill-advised.
Like I said, Battlestar Galactica had some pretty good webisodes, but a lot of other shows, it was just more nakedly commercial.
Nudity.
Where these, I think every one of these, whether you're a fan of the particular short trek or not, because obviously people's opinions vary, I think they've all been put together with such care, and I've also been very impressed that like all four of these that we watched for this evening,
For these.
all four of these, they took their time, even though they're short. They have a limited time to tell their story, but they each took their time to like kind of ease into the story, ease into the characters. And that's a thing that, a critique of a lot of the modern Star Trek is that it's a little, it's too much. And these like let you have just like a little extra breathing room.
There was something like that. There was something
Not
about
not in the Hitlerian.
There was
sense.
something about the production of The Brightest Star that was kind of like, I don't know, it was really nice. Like it was
and that was filmed at the same time that they were filming an episode that had the same sets in season 2.
Right.
That's what they were.
yeah.
I mean, one of the cool things here is it's
That's a nice set.
it's classic Star Trek style, as in we don't have a lot of money to throw around, so let's do the best we can with what we've got.
Got,
But
like, funky lagoons.
but they're so talented that I mean they got brilliant production design for this, and it's a great way to like get more out of that production design.
Word.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big fan. I hope they do more of the short treks.
They probably won't now that Discovery's ending.
Well, because they're not all about Discovery, right? That's the thing. It's like they started as a Discovery thing, but then they're also Strange New Worlds.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. They did do Strange New Worlds.
And Ephraim and Dot, which is another one that we discussed.
Just
That
do a bunch
spans.
that's just a bunch
all
of
of them.
miscellaneous.
This spans the whole franchise, basically.
Franchise expands the whole franchise.
But they've got that Section 31
Hologram.
TV movie coming out, so that's a
Oh
new
my
format.
God.
A new format they're playing with is like for lack of a better term, the TV movie, the streaming movie.
Jeez, oh flip!
Right? So they're going in that direction. Let's do more of that. Let's do more of the short treks. Let's do more Star Trek.
I like them short treks. I like them short treks.
What do you like about the short treks, Dan? Why don't you tell us, what do you like about short
I like
treks?
What do you like about them?
I like their length.
Not too long.
I like the story. I like them short treks.
All right. Well, how about... This is ridiculous. Why
So
don't
that's
we...
the cheese we put on them crackers.
I think that's the clue that we should
That's
get.
the cheese. What is that cheese we put on them crackers?
What are you talking about? Which cheese?
That kind that comes in like a spray can.
Oh,
Primarily sugar.
that's a delicacy in Europe, I can't stand that stuff.
Squeeze cheese?
Yeah, it's like fancy. It costs like $100.
You're
over
making
there.
shit up.
You got like people hoard that stuff.
You're
for
making
having
The stuff
fancy
that's like comes
parties.
out of like a whipped cream can, but it's cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my lord.
Okay, how about we get started talking about
Yes.
Runaway, which was the
Run
very
away
first
if you want to survive
of the short treks.
Run away, run away,
And
run away and say goodbye.
it was broadcast for the first time on October 4th, 2018.
Oh man.
And the in-universe date is 2257. So as we were just talking about, the production values are fantastic. The opening shot is a wonderful hero shot of the ship, right? I like this slow hero. It looks all real and it looks real physical.
Poe snuck in through the cargo bay.
That's right.
She snuck in.
Yeah,
She had
have
some
to try
kind
too
of
hard.
she had some kind of porcupine quills.
yeah. All right.
And she was invisible. She could make herself invisible, but her blood was not invisible, which didn't make sense to me. She should have invisible blood.
Well, it makes sense to
too.
me. It's like a chameleon. The skin can make somebody invisible, but the blood, when it comes out of the skin...
Well, if the skin's invisible, then why didn't you see the blood floating around inside of her arm?
Because it's not invisible in that way. It's like bending the light around. It's like a cloaking device.
I don't know about that.
I do know about that.
Oh.
What do you think of that?
Oh.
What do you think of that? I do know about that.
Don't you ever watch
What?
those? Isn't there like the Wonder Woman cartoon where she's like flying around an invisible ship and you can see her all like...
Yeah, you could just see her.
See her floating around.
You know,
She's sitting there.
as a counterpoint, right, it's really hard to go against that one, Dan.
Yep.
I gotta say, you're right. The Wonder Woman cartoon.
Invisible
Yep.
jet. Why is there an invisible jet?
Yeah, well, why does she have a lasso
A lasso.
that makes one tell the truth?
A lasso?
A lasso. Yeah, Wonder Woman was famous
She
for having
she does not mess around.
a truth-telling lasso. What? Do you have a problem with how I'm pronouncing lasso?
Pronouncing.
It's first you said lasso. Now you're saying lasso. Now you're saying that Clouseau.
No, I'm not saying anything Clouseau.
You're saying
You mean
Clouseau.
like Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther movies?
Ambiguous.
A Shot in the Dark?
You're saying it like Clouseau.
Does your dog bat? That is not my dog. It's funny.
He all hits a piano with this like ball and chain thing, and like someone's like, that was like a super expensive piano, and he just goes like, not anymore. But except he said it in a much
Not anymore.
yeah, it was like that basically. And for some reason, that always
Not
made
anymore.
my dad like laugh hysterically every time he.
Meltdown.
Obviously, it's funnier when you see it than me actually misquoting it.
I don't know.
but
It's pretty funny.
not anymore.
I'm getting a laugh.
See, there you go. You made Jesse smile. You know how hard that is.
I know, right?
Runaway. So yes, Dan. In case I interrupted you, last we were talking about this episode, Dan was just reading off a list of attributes of Poe. So you said she has spiky porcupine quills.
Yeah,
You said she snuck in.
She's sort of like an insect or something.
she snuck in.
She snuck in.
She's invisible, but her
Like a-
blood's
like a
not.
butterfly.
Yeah. Do you have other observations? Other observations about Poe?
She has her name is Hani Ika Halikapo. Hani Ika Halikapo.
Kind of like replicator food fight business.
Hani Ika Halikapo.
It sounds vaguely.
Mihani ika halikapo.
It sounds vaguely.
Oh, it's Mihani
Hawaiian.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Mihani Ika Halikapo.
Mihani ika halikapo.
That was that Hawaiian burger joint.
Yeah, that's another Pulp Fiction joke.
I know
Make a lot
that
of references to Pulp
Big
Fiction.
Kahuna burger.
she was missing. She was classified as strategically critical. You should not approach her. You should not. Don't harm her. She must remain alive and secure.
Okay.
You have to contact the Zahian Council immediately. If she's located
Right away.
Critical. Repeat, and then at all costs, she must remain alive.
Don't give her
They
any-
repeated that
Don't
because
give her any
it's all
Sprite to wash this down.
Check out the Big Brain on Brent. We should do a Pulp Fiction podcast.
I know, right?
It's got Pulp Fiction.
Maybe we could just make this one a Pulp Fiction.
We could just shift gears. Right.
So
in the middle of it.
those are some more facts about Mihani Ika Halikapo.
Those are some good facts. We did skip over the fact that
Here's another fact.
we see Tilly dealing with an overbearing, unpleasable mother figure.
I know, right?
Which is helpful background. Now we've seen some of these interactions before, but one of the things you get to do with these short treks is they're able to flesh out characterizations without taking up time in the main story where they're trying to go boom, boom, boom and keep things moving.
Tilly's mother's just awful.
Yeah, she's trying to
Horrible.
she's trying to convince Tilly to like hold on to her fears, and she's telling her how much pain she's supposed to be feeling for something that happened as a kid.
And something that might happen if she tries.
If she tries,
exactly.
yeah,
Like mother's
right.
whole message is don't try.
Don't have confidence.
this whole
You'll be
Starfleet
sad.
thing,
You'll
you
be
know.
try.
Yeah, don't try because you'll be sad.
It's fucked up.
That's fucked
It's
up.
pretty messed
I mean,
up.
It's
that's
also sadly it's very relatable to a lot of people.
I don't know if it's and for a minute there it felt worse than saying like don't try because you'll fail. Don't try because you'll be sad as a result. Like
Ultimately,
they're both
the joke is on Tilly's mom.
It's hard to say
because
which one's worse, but they were both kind of
Tilly disappears into the future.
Yeah.
they're both kind of shitty to say to someone.
No, it is. It really is. It's awful. And what I like is they portrayed this in a very realistic way, which was her mother was not coming off as some sort of shrill, ridiculous harpy, some sort of stereotypical whatever. Instead, she was a sadly all too realistic, terrible parental figure who, for whatever reason, we don't understand her particular motivations, is just doing everything she can to grind Tilly into the ground. And doesn't she make doesn't she reference Tilly's stepsister in some positive sense? So it's even worse. It's like, you're not only are you a disappointment, but I implicitly love your stepsister more than you because she accomplishes more.
She said, "You know who I was just speaking about this with?" And she says, "Your stepsister. She is always so smart about these things." And then she goes on to immediately say, "Oh, honey, look at your desktop." Like she moves directly to criticizing her
She's
desktop.
got to go get like a quadruple espresso or something.
You're just so clearly over-caffeinated.
Quadruple espresso with milk alternative?
Milk alternative.
No, it's my only friend.
So this is a very relatable story, and it gives us a lot of helpful background for Tilly in that we know she has this real and it continues to develop.
We know it.
You know it.
We know it.
You know it.
We know she has this attachment to.
We know it.
To the Discovery and to her crewmates, and part of that is clearly motivated by the need to latch on to a new family because her
mom sucks.
Given family is terrible.
Yeah.
Or certainly her mother. We don't hear about other stuff.
Yeah, right.
And you can
Dad's
know
probably fine.
Maybe, but you can also imagine the dad being kind of like like the Hansel and Gretel dad,
Maybe
where
he's dead.
where he's kind of he doesn't he loves his children, but he's also like I'm just gonna go along with whatever my evil my evil murderous wife tells me to do.
Old school shit.
Yeah, it is a little old school. So,
Dad just doesn't get involved.
I'm just saying we don't know the deal. There's still room to flesh some of that out, although I'm probably not at this stage. But I don't know if the dad was still in the picture because Tilly, I don't know. It's just clearly her issues are mainly with her mom. But it's a great setup. It's great extra information, and it positions us for this nice, cute little, very, very thin little story. But it's like finding somebody, and in the act of giving them some good advice, you take that advice yourself, you realize it for yourself, and then you feel a little bit better, and you make better decisions down the line.
You're a teen kid.
It is, but there are things that pop up in this episode, like, for example, Jesse, I think you referenced it already, the food fight.
Yeah.
Snacks.
Now, did anybody I didn't get all of them, but I tried to write down as many things that the food dispenser was talking about.
I got 16.
It's a bunch of regular.
I got 16 plus one that I couldn't decipher.
Earth
all right, let's go through and see what we've got the same. All right, Dan.
Snacks.
All right, I got that. 3 snacks. Hold on, let me check these off, Dan. Okay, I've checked that off. All 3 snacks.
That wasn't part of the snacks I was talking about. I got pickles.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear pickles. Did they say pickles?
Yep.
And you're saying that the machine said it. The voice said it.
Yeah, the voice said it.
Cool.
They got eclairs.
Oh, I didn't catch eclairs.
Spaghetti with meat sauce.
Yeah,
I did. Oh, wow. I didn't. You got some good ears, man. I didn't hear none of that.
Gelato.
I didn't hear that.
I got gelato.
Wow.
Snacks.
I got snacks. Well, that one I got.
Lasagna.
I got lasagna.
Lemon ice cream.
Okay, it was for me. It was inaudible ice cream.
Doff nuts.
What's it? What?
Doff nuts.
Donuts. Did you say donuts?
Sugar is awesome.
Yep.
But you're saying it like. Hold on. Let's pause for a second.
What the hell?
What were you trying to pull there? Was that just you just didn't think we'd mention it?
I mean, you knew what I was saying.
I mean, I did eventually know what you were saying. Doff nuts.
I mean, I say other things. Well, Jesse says helicopter. Some people say milk.
Moke.
I say everything
My
pretty
daughter
normally.
says
Moke.
All right, let's continue the list.
Donuts. Cheeseburger. I can has cheeseburger.
Yes, a cheeseburger.
Caesar salad.
Caesar salad. Yes.
French fry.
French fries. Yes.
I just
Belgium originally.
got French fry.
Yeah.
Singular.
Oh, I thought it was French fries.
You might be right. I'm not saying I'm right.
Now there was one that sounded like he was saying like lycopene.
It was lycopene.
No,
What's
totally
lycopene? Is that just protein? Is that some sort of
it's
amino
the chemical
acid?
in a tomato that
Isn't that like an amino acid or something? Lycopene.
Yeah, it sounds like it's something.
Did you get chicken soup?
It gives vegetables and fruits their red color.
Chicken soup?
Yes.
Yes, I did get chicken noodle soup. I also got chicken pot pie.
Chicken pot pie, chicken soup.
This is making me very hungry.
Snacks.
I got
I should have brought more snacks. Snacks.
cheesecake as well. I
Yeah.
got cheesecake.
Yeah,
and there was one
cheesecake.
after pickles, between it pickles and eclairs that I couldn't make out what it was saying.
Eclairs.
Sugar is awesome.
Eclair. Eclair.
I enjoyed that little scene there with the food dispenser going crazy. Now, it's
I didn't understand why it went crazy.
well,
though.
it's the suspension
Didn't
of
make any
disbelief
sense.
that I think we're meant to understand that Poe manipulated it in some way because
Yeah, I know,
she's
but-
been damaged. But why?
Why? Yeah,
And-
right,
and
that's
why
what I
was
mean.
Poe running around and bumping into?
Because she's a little scamp.
No, well, I think we're supposed to understand that she's injured, and so she's acting like an quote unquote injured animal.
Injured. He says injured.
Yeah. Injured?
Injured.
uh,
No, I'm not.
injured-
I'm not
an injured
actually.
animal.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to criticize the way you're saying it. That's just. It's like Jesse says helicopter.
But you were criticizing Jesse for saying helicopter.
I wasn't criticizing. It wasn't a critic.
I
It
always
wasn't
get
being critical.
criticism.
I wasn't being critical. I was just saying there's some words some people we know of someone who says tagger instead of tiger.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just interesting that
Tagger?
you don't say injured, you say injured.
You mean like tiger with a southern accent?
No, tagger.
Tagger?
Yeah.
What's a tagger?
It's like when you play tag and you tag someone. No, it's like a tiger. You just call it a tagger.
Who calls it a tagger without it being in a southern accent, though?
Someone we went to high school with.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. Dan and I are gonna discuss this when we come back from the break. We'll continue our discussion.
I hope so.
Of the Star Trek short tracks. Be right back.
Have a glorious day.
We're back. Okay.
Holy shit.
Oh, okay. Hey there. Hello.
You're just so clearly over-caffeinated.
All right. Let's.
So, yeah, I don't know,
Wrap up our runaway discussion.
It was weird the food went crazy. Yes. And then there was Poe.
Poe, who is a cool character who comes back. Mm-hmm. And I forget which episode she comes back, but she helps out with some warp drive stuff.
And
later on.
Poe was saying something about how she was born the same time. Okay, they said they were born the same time as their planet.
Yes.
Now, first of all, I assume she means she wasn't born the same time as her planet, but her people were. And even beyond that, it's probably I would have to have been some sort of like pre-evolved sort of version of them, because how in the world is this humanoid figure going to develop at the same time the planet was born?
Sounds like legend.
They must. It must. Yeah, it's probably legend.
It's legend.
It reeks of legend.
It's legend, or they're referring to like their one-celled organism form or something. I don't know.
I think what we're meant to take
Sounds like a
away
bunch
from
of
it
made-up
is
nonsense.
we're watching Tilly learn a little bit about life, and in this case, Tilly initially tries to argue the point.
Right.
And then realizes, you know what? This is not a point I need to argue, because this is not what we're discussing. This is not the issue at hand, you know.
No one loves my twin sister like I do.
I thought
It was a little funny.
that was kind of funny. It was a little corny, but it was also a little adorable. I don't know.
What did you think about the hormonal space rabbit?
There is a hormonal space rabbit.
That's what I thought.
There is a hormonal space rabbit.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of silly, because like there can't actually be such a thing called a space rabbit.
Tilly is a hormonal space rabbit.
Like, why would there be a space
whale?
rabbit?
There's a gormagander. It's like a space whale.
Yeah. I
Maybe
mean,
there's
that's
a
true.
space rabbit.
But what's it gonna hop around on? The planets?
Well, it could metaphorically hop.
It could hop from planet to planet. The space
Yeah.
rabbit.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
why it's called the space rabbit.
There is a hormonal space rabbit.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird thing to say. I don't believe that there's actually such a thing called a space rabbit, and it's weird that Tilly would just make that up. I guess that just shows like how taken off guard she was, but she could have thought she should have just said a gormagander flew through or something. A space rabbit. Is a space rabbit just a rabbit that lives on spaceships? Maybe that's. But why would they call it a space rabbit and not just a rabbit?
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's a good point you make there, Dan.
Because space hair doesn't sound so good.
I'm a
Space hair.
I'm a big Tilly fan. I've always been a big Tilly fan. I really enjoy how they positioned her as the young, talented, excitable character. Similar in some ways to Tendi. Tendi shares some sort of a similar niche in terms of characterization and also audience surrogate, because you can kind of see new things from the audience's perspective. And again, here they make her a little bit more relatable, and they give her an opportunity to help somebody out and make a friend, and that's all you need to do. And that's again why I like this. I like this format of show. This story wouldn't work in an hour episode, obviously, and it would even be problematic as a B story or something, right? Like, this works in this context, and I think it works very well.
You know, I was looking at Poe's hands, and they kind of reminded me of Saru's hands in the sense that it looked like it looks like they had some kind of like makeup glove on. It kind of looked like it was a glove. Obviously, it wasn't their actual fingers, but what I'm saying is, to me, it looked very much like there was some kind of obvious prosthetic on there.
Glovey.
It was a little too it was too glovey. It was too poofy.
Too glovey.
I mean, it looked fine.
Danny Glovey.
It looked fine. It looked good. It just looked kind of weird and synthetic. But it was fine though.
This is not my favorite of the short treks by any stretch, and I've always enjoyed it. But actually, this watch through, I hadn't seen it in a while. I enjoyed it more than I had in the past. I got more out of it.
I like how she calls back. Does the mother call back when she goes? Poe's all scared or whatever, and then Tilly's like, when the people who are supposed to care about you don't listen to you, it's frightening and it's lonely and it makes you feel like you're crazy or like not even there. Like that was a pretty strong moment. Yeah, I was into that.
It's the thesis of this little episode.
It brought it back to the initial. Yeah, right. So,
and again, a very relatable point where when the people who are not supposed to let you down. That's fucked up.
Did you do that? Don't do that. That's rude.
But she doesn't wallow in it. She's like, oh, but I don't have to. I don't have to worry. I can feel bad about that, but I can still do I can go a different direction. Find this new family on Discovery. Make this new friend who happens to be a queen.
She's on like one of the premier ships of the fleet.
And I like that whole Poe turning out to be a queen thing, because it's this very kind of old school sci-fi.
So I guess
Star Trek.
Her brother died. I don't know how Tilly knew that her brother had died.
And her parents died. And we didn't hear why. I got hints that there was some sort of Game of Thrones style turmoil ever since, because my understanding is that they.
Tilly looked like she was going to throw up when she found out that she coughed when she found out.
Oh, by the way,
she looked like she was gagging.
Look, coughing as for Mary Wiseman, I'm presuming she selected this. Whoever came up with the idea of having Tilly's anxiety indicator be coughing, like, that's great, because that's not a common thing. And the thing is people's anxiety does manifest in all manner of ways, but on TV shows it's always like, like fainting or something. Her freaking out was just coughing. Like, that's so hilarious to start
nobody
coughing.
ever has gas on TV.
No, it's true. In the He-Man, they didn't have bathrooms. I remember
in Star Trek they didn't have bathrooms.
It's true. Well, not just coughing. Like I said, to me, I got out of it. It was almost like she was dry heaving a little bit.
Sorry, I shouldn't do that.
There was some inconsistent pronunciations. Let me play these.
Pronunciation.
Okay, let me play this.
Lassou.
Zahian. Zahian.
Zahian.
Zahian.
Wait a second.
Well,
wait,
I'm not. I think I know what I think I know what Dan's gonna do.
Zahian. Zahian. Blood-based circulatory fluid.
Zahia just achieved warp capacity.
Zahia is so beautiful.
Zahia just achieved Zahia just achieved Zahia just achieved Zahia just achieved Zahia.
See, one time she's saying Zahia, and the next time first time she says Zahia
Just achieved
and then she says Zahia.
Zahia.
It's weird.
Tilly says the same incorrect things twice. Yeah. That's been happening. Been noticing that recently, like with the same characters.
Do you think it's bad acting?
No, it's just weird.
Zahia just achieved Zahia.
Yeah, maybe they made a decision later on about what to call something or how to pronounce.
What did you think I was going to say, Patrick?
Oh, I thought you were going to play like a clip from the Zohan movie.
Oh,
something about Zohan.
That did not even cross my mind for a second.
It just would be funny at the end to be all like, the don't mess with the Zohan.
Well, that would have been clever. Yeah. I've never actually seen that movie.
No, nor have I. Mm-hmm. But Zohan, Zahia.
There was one part where Tilly was like, "I think you have your answer, kid," and I don't know what she had her answer to.
Oh, that was after Poe mentioned how much she loved her planet and how she would do anything to help her planet.
No one loves my twin sister like I do.
Yeah.
She said, "How do you think they're going to handle this thing you built for Zahia?" Zahia, do you think they're going to protect her during this? No one will protect my planet.
No one loves my twin sister like I do.
I think you have your answer,
Yeah,
kid.
exactly. So you go back. If you care, you have to go back. That was the message.
I don't see...
It's right there, Dan.
How do you think...
Grasp it.
Do you think they're going to protect her? I think you have... But she never asked if I should go back.
No. Look, so...
She never asked that question.
Poe has run away.
There was no question.
But Poe has run away. She is a runaway.
Run away.
Tilly knows the title of the episode. They are both running away, and they both need to realize that running away does not solve the problem. In Poe's case, what Tilly is illustrating to her is that Poe says she loves her planet more than anyone else.
No one loves my twin sister like I do.
Like I do.
And therefore, logically, Tilly is saying, so if you want your planet to be, if you want your twin sister to be good, you got to go back. You can't run away from her because you love her more than anybody else, right? Boom. And then Tilly also learns she shouldn't run away from the command school or the wall or whatever business.
Oh yeah, did you calculate the precise protein concentration and small particle dispersion of emulsifiers to make a matter synthesizer dispense nothing but Spumoni ice cream when you were 9?
Yeah, gross.
I thought that was excessive.
No, you didn't.
I thought that was excessive.
was
The
a bit
joke was
excessive.
funny, but it was from a writing perspective, it was
clunky.
two lines. It was a little too much.
Yep.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be that long. If you're gonna make it that long, you got to go ahead and make it twice as long. You got to make it aggravating. If you can do
Yeah.
that, you can aggravate your audience. You can
Tarantino style.
repeat something, but you gotta either go for it all the way or you keep it short.
I was being extraordinary.
That's right.
I know what that's all about.
Okay.
Don't you know?
Okay.
You
By
know.
the way,
Dan
that show.
knows about
By the
Extraordinary.
way, that show extraordinary. That show Extraordinary. That British show
Extraordinary.
on Netflix or whatever. No, it's on Hulu. Extraordinary, about like everyone's got superpowers except for the main character girl. Great show. Go watch it. It's excellent. All right,
You're a teen kid.
let's move along home to Calypso. I enjoyed those sound effects.
This is one of the more interesting ones.
Calypso's great.
Why is it called Calypso?
I know why it's called Calypso. Would you
Sorry,
like to
Jesse,
know?
I interrupted you. What were
Jesse,
you
do
saying?
you know why
No,
it's called?
I would like to hear your.
Jesse, do you know?
No, I'm not really sure.
This is
I was a little stumped.
it happens to be in my bailiwick because I
Word.
was an English major.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm an
that's
English
right,
major,
though.
so I know all these words and sentences.
I-
I know.
He knows about mythology.
I knew at least 20 kinds of sentences.
I also know how to use the old internet.
I learned 7 sentences yesterday because I majored in English.
Is it because like
Dan's bragging.
she kept him there or something?
Yes, you're not far off. So this is another case of Star Trek loving its literary references. In this case, Calypso presumably refers to the nymph in Homer's The Odyssey, and this nymph rescues Odysseus from a shipwreck, and she keeps him on this island. So she nurses him back to health. And then she likes him, likes having him around. So she basically tricks him into sticking around, even though he really misses his wife, Penelope, or Penelope, if you're me reading the story when I'm 12.
It was always funny.
Penelope, whatever your preference. But so eventually the gods go to Calypso and say, like, you're being really fucking shitty to this dude because he misses his wife and you're tricking him into staying on the island. So they convince her to
He got tricked by a couple of people.
let him go. So it's a very similar story. This is basically the story. Of Calypso and Odysseus, he's shipwrecked and
I see.
is trapped. The difference here is that Zora, who takes the role of Calypso in this case, Zora is able to make the decision on her own and does not have to be influenced by the gods or some other external force,
Right.
and doesn't need to be pressured into letting the guy go. She comes to realize on her own it's probably not cool to trap this guy here and keep him in prison just to keep you company.
But this
It's
is
a
like
waffle.
the ship, and we only see the ship like transform that way like later on in
Yes.
Discovery.
Yeah.
Like way after this short trek
Way
has aired.
after.
This is like some kind of weird, foreshadowing thing.
So this is supposed to take place in the year 4000 or
This
something.
guy's got
Something
a case
like
of the
that.
Spostas.
Because like
Sounds like somebody
Discovery
does.
was sitting around for 1,000 years.
Yeah, that's what we're led to believe.
Right, and so did this fall in the level in year 3000 when Discovery started taking place? Do you think that? Yeah, do you think that they probably won't? But do you think they'll end this season of Discovery with it
would be cool if they did that,
if they ended it with like the crew leaving the ship behind and it was that.
Yeah, but there's a twist. There's a twist. Because I think this is an important that we'll discuss the rest of the. There's a lot to discuss in this little short track, but I think it does make sense to discuss where this may or may not fit into the overall Discovery canon, because this Discovery is unmodified. So the Discovery that we are now friends and family plans with
doesn't have the separated
in the 32nd section, it's been upgraded, right? It's been upgraded with super future tech.
That's right.
So were the Discovery to end in some fashion on this Calypso story, you'd have to find a way to sort of revert it back to its original form.
This is an alternate.
Yeah. So this could be an alternate. It could just be that this is something that happened somewhere along the lines. I don't know. I'm very curious. I think ever since this aired, people have been wondering, what does this mean? Is this just a one-off frivolous, well, not frivolous, that's not the right term. Is this just like a fun little jaunt that's using, using the sets and stuff like that? Like, or is this something that, like you said, Jesse, is this where it's going to end up? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in the 5th and final season of Discovery.
I bet we don't.
Yeah, I'm guessing we don't.
So he got in an escape pod to run away from the Vidrash. Do you think the Vidrash were like actually Earthlings and he actually fought Earth people? Because he was talking about how they had those old videos.
It's a bastardization of the Federation. Right. I think that's pretty well accepted that Vidrash is like 1,000 years of like bastardization.
They're just watching Betty Boop cartoons.
So evolution of the term Federation.
So Kraft or Quarrel or whatever his name.
Kraft is his name.
Kraft.
Do you know why they call him Kraft?
But he also called himself
because he likes Kraft macaroni and cheese
and arts and crafts.
Well, no, but it was Kraft with a C.
Yeah. No, but what about
Quarrel? Carl.
Quarrel. Maybe he's Professor Quirrell in Harry Potter.
Squirrel.
Quarrel.
Where do you come up with this stuff, Dan?
A duck.
A duck.
Quarrel.
I was thinking that I don't know where he came up with that quarrel.
A duck.
Are we supposed to understand
Holograms.
it? Like, what are we supposed to understand something about the quarrel?
I don't know what that quarrel thing was about. And then she all like called him a liar. He said his name's Quarrel, and she was all.
Do you think that was just his alias?
That's like probably.
Okay, so what?
Maybe an alias.
So this guy Kraft, he probably was.
She's been around long enough to know when people are lying.
He was in the battle against the Earthlings or the Federation or whatever, and he probably fought the Discovery. No, the Discovery had left 1,000 years prior.
So
but
she's been sitting there for.
She's been sitting there for a while, but like. He's been at war with that side, so he's on the enemy ship.
But he was floating around for a while. But I don't think Discovery's probably been out of the scene for a bit.
But when it comes down to it, though, it is a Federation ship, and so it's
sure,
and it's a Federation ship that appears for some reason to identify as a female.
And so because it's a Federation ship,
interesting.
It's like a Romeo and Juliet story in a way because he's like on the making friends with the enemy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I see.
That's where I'm going with
that.
Right
on, dog.
Well observed, sir. I
like the when they were dancing. I liked how surreal it looked like.
It's a beautiful little story,
and I like the idea of watching movies, making the movies all like 3D holograms.
Yeah, it was great.
Holograms.
It was really, really nicely done. And the thing about this,
and they did that later on in Discovery where they were watching old vintage shit.
Although I didn't like that thing they were watching; it was freaking me out.
Oh, you mean the actual
Charlie Chaplin
the funny face?
Yeah. The whole funny face thing.
He's not funny face.
Yeah, right.
She is.
This is such a charming little story, and part of the charm is that there's no universes saved, no political machinations are navigated. There's not even really any sort of a moral tale beyond Zora has a little bit of a moral tale about whether or not to let the guy go, but she very swiftly decides that she has to because she cares.
It's a fancy new suit.
all this is two people, an artificial intelligence and a gentleman.
Taco Tuesday.
And they're in this giant universe.
Tuesday.
And we just see there's a brief interaction. A brief interaction between them, and all this magic comes out of that little interaction, and then they go their separate ways. And we don't know what happens afterwards. We don't really know what happened before. We just see this little bit, and it's beautiful. It's just fun and interesting and charming. And
all mysterious.
The thing is, there's a few times we'll talk about an episode and we'll complain. Maybe not complain, but we'll note, we'll be like, they hinted at some interesting ideas, but they didn't really go into them. This does that, but because, again, it's just so short, because of that short format, you're okay with, in my perspective anyways, that you're like, oh, I'm thinking about all these things now, and it's okay that they didn't get to cover them because that's not what we got to see. Now we can think on our own, because one of the things I was thinking about is just this idea, this introduction of the concept of Zora slowly building her consciousness over the course of eons.
Yeah. It's a waffle.
And thinking about things
you
like
pour syrup on it.
Like you have a sentient or a sapient AI, and you're like, how you have a frame of reference to compare with that thing, right?
Well, wasn't Discovery starting to get like some kind of sentient?
Yeah, but Jesse mentioned that, but that was later. So we see the beginnings of Zora later, but Zora is nowhere near as like advanced as she is depicted in this episode.
Yeah.
But you start thinking of all this AI stuff, like AI being lonely versus not being lonely, perceptions of time, perceptions of following orders.
Your orders were given by a captain who's been dead for 1,000 years.
Yeah, like that implicit in that line is what does it mean?
Almost 1,000 years.
What does it mean? What priority does the AI put towards loyalty to the programming that says you follow the orders versus understanding full well that the people and even the institutions that provided those orders are no longer in existence? So are those orders now inoperative, right? And they don't go into this, but it's in there. And I think that's what makes this such a meaty story.
It's in there.
And then, of course, you have the guy who's missing his family. And you can see it's so brilliant how he has the reaction of somebody who's afraid to start an affair. They think that he feels guilty that he has an emotional connection to this robot.
I think brilliant is a strong word.
I mean, it is. I mean, feel free to disagree.
Brillante.
You don't think that's an interesting thing?
I think it's interesting. I'd say brilliant is a really strong word.
All right. Well, maybe I'm using it in the British sense.
It's a brilliant word.
Maybe in the British
sense.
Okay,
I think it's keen.
Keen. Okay.
I think it's a keen thing.
It's fit?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing.
Zora is fit.
Okay.
Is it on the red? I'm
going to toss you in the boot of my car and drive you around the M5. If you know what I mean.
Nah.
I couldn't find the highway, so I had to take a little back road called the M5.
I think I was on that one.
That's a Faulty Towers joke.
On the M4.
Okay. But again, like I said, okay, maybe none of these ideas are particularly unique. But it's just so well put together. I just found it's ever since the first time I watched it, it's just a thoroughly charming little story. And again, partly because the consequence is there's no more consequence than it is to these two people. There's nothing else that matters in this universe. That's all we see. That's all we experience. Except we do get some really beautiful shots of the Discovery again.
Well, they did the zoomy, unnecessary upside down zoomy camera thing when they first got to him in his ship. Like I like when they it
was slower
when this generation of Star Trek. I like when they do the super zoomy shots when they're like outside in space and they zoom into the ship, or when they're in the ship and they zoom out to space. I think those are fun. But when they do these sort of random stuff where it's like it's upside down inside and it's right side up for some reason, it doesn't represent
you're in
anything.
Space. It's like you're not telling me that's not telling me you're in space.
Right.
One of the shots that you reference, I think is one of the more brilliant shots I've actually seen in Star Trek, which is the starting from outside the bridge window, and you see Kraft start his dance routine towards the end.
It seemed like that actor could actually. It seemed like that actor could actually dance because he was kind of he looked graceful.
He had a dancer's body, and it was.
Oh yeah.
And I think where I could tell where I could tell was when he was trying to fake learning how to dance. Because you know how like when actors have to fake bad acting or singers have to fake bad singing?
That's what I'm saying.
He didn't pull off the fake. He was like, you looked really good.
No, that's what I was saying is that when he was practicing dancing, he
Yeah.
had like this flow about him that like
Yeah.
looked a little bit too
But
graceful.
It stood out
I know.
because he's in the story. He's supposed to be sort of like working really hard to learn this dance move, and it's like, dude, you know how to do it. You're good at this.
When he got on the ship, she removed. So she said she didn't remove one of his scars, but she removed some other scars or something.
Well, he was
That wasn't
injured. He was injured. It's hard to tell, but at this,
Yeah.
when you zoom in before
But
he's
he's been
taken
there
aboard,
he'd been there for like a month.
yeah, but he's in like a stasis field or some shit. He's like got like gross injuries a little bit. I guess she cleaned them up, just like Calypso did in the Odyssey.
Oh dear, you thought I was alive?
There was one part where she led him down some hallway to the kitchen. She did that trick where you only light one room at a time and everything else and leads you down. I'd be scared of monsters if I was in that ship by myself.
Of
and it was all dark around
There's
me.
bound to be monsters.
Yes, there's Star Trek space monsters.
I mean, the same story could go slightly that you can
like
you can write-
Space bunnies.
Yeah.
There is a hormonal space rabbit.
Hormonal space rabbit.
You write the story a little bit different, and it's a horror story.
Darn tootin'.
Where Zora actually does kidnap and forever ensnare Kraft.
I was also confused by this exchange. Zora goes, she's giving him food, and she's like, "I'm sorry, it's so synthesized. Chef's away, and it's ages since we had a resupply of foodstuffs." So, like, yeah, what is so synthesized? They haven't needed a chef since Enterprise Day.
I heard it differently though. I heard her, and I could be wrong. As evidence, you definitely caught more of the food replicator, food dispenser stuff than I did. So I will defer to your opinion. What I heard was, sorry, it's all synthesized. So in other words, sorry, there is no non-synthesized food available.
No, he goes, "Where are you leading me?" And then she's giving him food and says, "I'm sorry, it's so synthesized." Those are it's so. Right. So first of all,
according to Chakotea.net,
this is a different site, but it was also on the transcripts.
What site is this?
They don't have like these newer ones on the Chakotea. This is just like transcripts.foreverdreaming.org.
The best part is you're clearly not making that up.
No, I'm not.
You're on a crazy website. You're on a crazy part of the internet.
So first of all, there's not different levels of synthesis. Plus, they haven't had a chef since like Enterprise Day. So isn't it always, even if it was Patrick, even if she did say, "I'm sorry, it's all synthesized," they've had all synthesized food since forever.
No.
They don't
look on Enterprise. They make it more apparent.
Well, Enterprise, because it's older, they don't have food synthesizers.
Because
get to the back of the bowl.
No, I'm going to continue my point.
Hello, penguin. Shampoo is better.
Shampoo is better.
Get to the back of the bowl.
Conditioner is better.
He's going to be.
Sounded like an angry German. The conditioner is better. You have to use the conditioner, don't you know?
He's going to be a soccer player.
Shampoo is not better, Dan. Okay, no, where were we? We should finish this up.
Probably
We're
about time for another break.
We're getting close to another break. I wanted to say the multi-craft, the Lilu Dallas multi-craft effect was I really enjoyed that effect to show time passing and Kraft's boredom as he's going through his business. Oh, and I now remember what I was meant to say earlier, which is on TOS. First of all, on TOS, it was never clear that there were food replicators. It was more like dispensers. And they do the same thing on Discovery where it's not that they're not saying it's a replicator, but it's kind of presented a little bit differently. But the other thing is there was always the indication that they did have normal food on board as well. Because that was the nice treat to have. It's just that
this
the
takes
bulk
place
of your food
takes place in the year 4000 though.
We don't know the year. We know
it's at least 3,000 because they said they were there for 1,000 years.
But it's 3,000.
Almost 1,000 years.
3,000 with a 22nd century ship because the ship technology has not changed.
But Kraft is if she gave him real food, she'd have to say, "I'm sorry, it's all real food. I'm sure Mr. lives in the year 3,000 or 4,000. You're used to synthesized food. Kraft would be used to synthesized food."
Well, that's an assumption. It's a fair. It's a fair assumption, but it's still an assumption. And anyway, it's beside the point. She was being polite. She was flirting with the guy.
I wouldn't like if
She's
I were
making conversation.
I wouldn't be able to sleep in that transporter room with the hammock like he did. First of all, I'd find some crew quarters. Second of all,
Yeah.
like I'd be all out in the open
yeah,
like that. I'd like to be in somewhere a little snugglier.
bit more cozy.
You think he could do something better than a hammock? I don't know. And there was 542,000 media files.
542,000 media
He watched one of them
files.
811 times
811 times.
because he couldn't figure out how
they
to
were
turn it off.
accessed.
What is Betty Boop?
Betty Boop. That was another
What
fun
is Betty Boop? Betty Boop.
bit. Betty Boop.
What is
Betty
Betty
Boop.
Boop?
Betty Boop.
Betty Boop. Betty Boop. What is Betty Boop? Betty Boop. Betty Boop.
Whoa.
Okay.
What is Betty
So
Boop?
while Dan
Betty
sorts
Boop,
out the Betty Boop business,
What
Betty
is
Boop.
Betty Boop?
we will
Betty
take
Boop, Betty Boop.
another break.
What is Betty Boop?
And when we
Betty
get
Boop,
back
Betty Boop.
from
What
the break,
is Betty Boop? Betty Boop. Betty
we will
Boop.
discuss Saru and the brightest star. Be right back. Do one of you want to bring us back?
Man, we're back.
And,
Okay.
and we're back.
There we go. Both of you brought us back. That's perfect.
And
Check it
there
out.
we go.
Check it out.
I did this before. I'll just do it a couple times.
Do it again.
Check it out.
Check this.
Check it out.
Check this out.
Check it out.
What is Betty Boop? Betty Boop. Betty Boop. What is Betty Boop?
What'd
Betty
you,
Boop.
what'd you
Betty
say?
Boop. What is
What
Betty
is
Boop?
Betty
Betty
Boop?
Boop? Betty
Did you say?
Boop.
Did you say that you'd done that a few times?
What is Betty Boop? Betty Boop. Betty Boop.
One, two,
Sorry,
three,
I just thought that
follow.
was. I just thought that was so good. I had to do it because
No,
it was a
it was
beat.
good. Calypso's great. It's a good one. And if people haven't seen it, I mean, first of all, I don't know
You
why
should watch
you're listening to the podcast, but yeah, you should watch it. It's a charming little thing, and it doesn't take too much time out of your day.
So the next one we're doing is the brightest star.
It's the brightest star,
and I like how I like the sort
Dan's
of,
all in on this one.
I like how it. I like the set and I like the ambiance of how it's outside and it feels like, you know, and it's got that sci-fi movie vibe because it's like sci-fi obviously, but it's not futuristic. It's that kind of sci-fi where it's like old school, you know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel
They're
like
harvesting kelp.
yeah, but it doesn't feel
They're
like
Kelpians.
But even
That's what they do.
and it doesn't feel like fantasy. It still feels like sci-fi. That's probably because there's that big obelisk thing in the middle. But like still, it's a sci-fi.
Although that could actually fit into a fantasy.
Yeah,
If
right.
you like twist
Matter
the
of
story a little
perception.
bit and put some
Yeah.
Fraggle Rock characters
Fraggle
in
Rock,
it, and
yeah.
that's like some sort of
Oh no,
scary.
not some dark
Down in
crystals.
Fraggle Rock.
It's like some dark crystal shit.
But yeah, so I like that. I like watching sci-fi that feels like some kind of old school shit, and it was pretty neat. And I like that they are all outside, and I liked how the planet with the dirt was really really red, and then she was carrying that flower that was super red at that one point. That was weird. Wasn't that cool? I thought that was neat.
What? Okay.
You are extraordinary.
One thing people at home need to know is that Dan's really into red dirt.
I'm into red dirt.
It's the only reason he lives here in Virginia. In Virginia is known for its red clay. In the United States, Virginia has very, very red clay. And so Dan loves red dirt. If you are one of our listeners living somewhere around the world, if you live in a place that has red clay, please write us in. Write in at feedback@itsgotstartrek.com with the subject line, Dan's
I
Paradise.
think parts of Georgia.
Yeah, there's other U.S. states as well. But Virginia's got we got the good red clay.
My place is no longer here.
But Dan might be interested in moving, so you gotta let us know about the red clay. Send us pictures of the red dirt. Any red dirt. If you live on Mars, you got tons of red dirt over there on Mars. Anyway, what were you saying, Dan? You were saying
My
something.
place is no longer here.
Oh yeah, you liked this because there was red dirt.
Would it be awesome if you really believed there was consciousness after death? This harvesting situation wouldn't be so much of a bummer if you actually believed you were gonna keep living.
Oh yeah. So the
and I want to go over these. I want to go. I want to go over these harvesting rules because I thought they got harvested when they reached the Vaharai. Is that what it's called?
Yes, but it's not a specific age. It's always past a certain age, but it's a little bit variable when it actually happens.
And then how do they have old people? Because they have old priest dudes.
Yeah. So
do you think that the Baul keep the priests alive because the priests are promoting the message?
There's a manipulation here.
So the priests probably know. Some of them are probably corrupt and know, like, if I keep pushing this, they won't kill me.
I don't know, but that's an interesting idea. It's something that they haven't really investigated, and I guess they don't need to investigate any longer because of events that took place in Discovery that rendered some of these questions moot.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do think is cool is that
Thank you, Lieutenant Giorgio.
Here again, we get some much needed, very helpful background on a character's motivations, specifically Saru. We learn
Saru Ma.
we learn we learn
I did not understand.
we learn all sorts of things. But we learn what Saru's motivation was and what the circumstances were and what he gave up, what he sacrificed in order to leave his planet and ultimately join Starfleet. Although that may be, I don't know if he conceived of that initially, but obviously he wanted to go and have adventures, right? So that's all really cool.
He was the only one that looked to look to the sky. Even his sister was like, look to the ground sometimes, you know?
Which
They
is
were all
also
about
good
looking-
advice.
Yeah, it's true.
You don't want to trip on a root.
I didn't understand how...
You ever tripped on a root or on a loose rock? You got to look down sometimes, otherwise you could trip on a loose rock.
The watchful eye rules the skies, you know this?
The watchful eye rules the sky, you know this? I like how quickly he says, you know this. It was a good line reading. He's like,
The watchful eye rules the skies, you know this?
The watchful eye rules the skies, you know this? You know this? No pause, you know this? Rolls right into it.
Are you prepared for that, Mr. Saru?
Looking at the skies.
It fell off the Baul ship, as pieces sometimes do.
As they do that, that was a little so it fell off the Baul ship. Not really offensive exposition yet.
As pieces sometimes.
As pieces often do. Okay, that's
What?
like, okay, now that's exposition.
Yeah.
Now that's treating the audience a little bit dumb.
I
I really like this episode, but there's a few of those.
So I wasn't clear on where like, okay, it wasn't falling off that obelisk looking thing because that looked pretty smooth. It didn't look like it had any doodads or gadgets that would fall off. So that leads me to believe, what did it fall from space, from the sky?
I don't know.
Because they never showed any spaceship in the sky. All they showed was that pillar thing, right? So like, where did that fucking thing fall off of?
Yeah, where would I stay?
Where would that thing have possibly come off of?
Where would I stay?
So like, they like had this weird screen thing, that thing that fell off. Yeah, it was this weird screen thing that was divided into 6 screen parts for some reason.
Yes. /hello.
And yes, /hello. Like, okay, I'm guessing that this thing wasn't initially meant to communicate because
/help.
I'm guessing that this thing wasn't initially meant to communicate because, like, that's a really limited way to communicate with someone by only having like six little areas you can write.
So it must have, he hacked it.
He hacked it. But then why was it? Yeah, /hello was kind of goofy. I wasn't sure what the deal with the slash was. He doesn't know what. And then when it said /today, how is he supposed to know what today is? He seemed to know what today meant because he went that day. So he saw today and he was able to read it as today.
Yeah.
So, like, how did he know that it said today? Yeah. How did he know to go out there that night?
Yeah. I think they didn't think that one through entirely. You know?
Yeah.
Mixing the conventions of in the storyline where he has to translate a message versus the meta storyline as we're watching Star Trek, and the convention is that we can simply read what they're reading. I agree. Confusing. Now,
I did not understand that this is not how I was raised.
Also easily ignored.
Well, like, no, and it was, well, you couldn't even use the, okay, so you think it was actually written in Kelpian? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, from my perspective, I didn't worry about it in the context of the story of, we just need to know that he got a message, figured it out.
I had a hard time just suspending my disbelief for that one.
I can understand that.
I
think there's a more elegant way they could have done it.
I mean, the universal translator stuff, that's fine, because that would just be tedious if we had to like deal with the actual. Well, I whistled. Okay, here's an inconsistency though.
Inconsistency.
Can you spot the inconsistency? First, this is Giorgio's universal translator.
It's a pleasure to finally put a face to the name, Mr. Saru. An entirely new face at that.
Okay, now here's Saru's.
I was not certain you would come.
Okay.
Can you spot the inconsistency?
I did not.
Jesse?
I was thinking in my mind about how Mark Orkrend, who developed the Klingon language and he developed the Vulcan language, he helped develop the Kelpian language.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know that. Jesse, I asked if you could spot the inconsistency and you said yes.
Yes. Okay. He has asked you a direct question, Jesse. He's thinking. Jesse's thinking. Just doing a little.
Do you want me to play it one more time?
Play it one more time.
It's a pleasure to finally put a face to the name, Mr. Saru. An entirely new face at that.
Abram Saru.
Okay, next one.
Kijeus Eduanak. I was not certain you would come.
I don't hear it.
I'm not really sure what you're getting at.
There's an inconsistency.
Okay, I think
you want me to? You give up?
I think you're gonna have to lay it on the line for us.
The one with Giorgio, it translates like almost immediately. But with Saru's, it takes like a few seconds before there's a vast difference between when it translates.
Did you say there's a vast deference?
No. There's a vast difference between
you heard it right.
There's a vast difference between how long it takes to translate from English to Kelpian than it does Kelpian to English. See, this is immediate.
It's a pleasure to finally put a face to the name, Mr. Saru.
See,
an entirely new face at that.
Abram Saru.
That was immediate. Now this takes a few seconds. Check it out.
Kijeus Eduanak. I was not certain you would come.
Yeah.
That was the game we played today.
Yeah. That's a good game. The other thing about this episode is that it clarifies some questions people had about Kelpians, including even Doug Jones. So on Memory Alpha, they quote an interview with Doug Jones where he mentions that his assumption from the first season was that his people were sort of herded like cattle, and that when this story came around and he realized it was a much more ritualistic situation, he said suddenly that made way more sense because the Kelpians are clearly intelligent, emotional beings with a cultural life and all that. And you're like, why would they be willing to be put into pens? And this makes much more sense where it's using a person's culture, religion, spirituality, crafting a scenario in which they are compelled to sacrifice themselves. That's a different and way more interesting story, especially when we're following the character who breaks out of that based sheerly on his curiosity. He's just so curious, and he's so curious. Well, he implicitly sees through the flaws in his own culture when just even asking a question, his dad yells at him, gets mad at him when he's like, "Why can't we be like the Baul?" And his dad's like, "What the fuck, man? That's crazy. You can't say that shit."
About the harvesting and the Vaharai, back to that one again. It says that in Memory Alpha, it says Kelpians who underwent Vahari would voluntarily submit to harvesting. So that means when you undergo Vahari, you submit to the harvesting.
Yeah.
So that means that maybe, I'm guessing they go they get the Vaharai at different times, and they're
that was the implication, and I think it was even stated.
But then even though
some people get older.
Some people get a pass though. Some people because you wouldn't have old people otherwise, because you're basically getting all the Kelpians when they hit puberty. But then there's
no. I think they specifically differentiate it from puberty in the sense that it does happen at various times, and only a very few people become old enough to be priests or whatever, but they still get got in the end. I believe
so
on Discovery, his father gets taken at one point.
So you're saying it can happen anywhere from age 5 to age 30 or something like it can
whatever.
Just happen.
They're not like the Ocampans where they like only live 9 years or whatever.
Well, no, I know. It's just when I think of like an event things go through, like when Vulcans go through their
Ponfar.
Ponfar, like doesn't that usually happen around like very predictable times?
Yeah, but it doesn't have to. And I think that's one of the interesting things about the Kelpians that we learn. Yeah, it is a process they go through, and there's some time frame, but there's a variation.
When he was talking to Giorgio, did you notice his threat ganglia was all up when he was talking to Giorgio?
Because he was freaked out.
Well, I mean, I thought that was a good, nice touch.
I like the bird bug. Did you see the bird bug?
Bird bug. Yeah, I saw the bird bug.
Bird bug was pretty cool.
Bird bug was cool.
And of course, the whole Vaharai or whatever the term is, it evokes carousel. The concept of carousel from Logan's Run. And Logan's Run is a great movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a great movie. Everyone should watch it. And but in that movie, the people, like, I think when they hit 25 or whatever, they have a little crystal in their hand, and when it blinks, they're supposed to go to carousel, and they'll be elevated to the next level where everything is super awesome.
Are you prepared for that, Mr. Saru?
But then it turns out they're just being ground into like paste and fed to people. This is sort of a similar thing where we know these people are being hoodwinked.
Hoodwinked.
They're being hoodwinked into being
bamboozled.
Yes, precisely. Anyway, any other things about The Brightest Star?
Nah.
That's the bird bug. More hotter.
Here's some old man background chatter.
You're a noisy fella.
Or old Kelpian background chatter.
That bowl ain't right. That bowl ain't right. All right. Let's finish this up. We only have so
the
much time.
unsettling urge to run back to safety.
We only have so much. His sister was great, by the way.
Mm-hmm. She handed him that knife almost like she knew he was going to get into some shit.
Yeah,
Even though it was for flowers.
She seemed to think. They were saying goodbye. The Girl Who Made the Stars. This is the shortest one.
You want to hear the story of the girl who made the stars.
That voice is Kenrick Green, who played Mike Burnham, Michael Burnham's father, and Kyrie
Mike Burnham
McAlpin. It plays young Michael Burnham.
I love you, Daddy.
The Girl Who Made the Stars.
I love you too.
Okay, so this story, the story that they tell in this short trek, which the setup is that Michael is on a space station with her dad, presumably, and her mom, and
I like
she
that.
feels very lonely.
That opening shot was pretty cool. How it was showing some the space station, and then it jumped into her room.
Yes,
which had the space station.
It was really well done, and she's scared because she feels lonely out here in space, and so
I hate being scared.
And her father tells her this tale, this myth, as sort of a nighttime story to help her, feel better. And first of all, I really like that. I always like that idea of the liminal space between the waking and sleeping world, and you tell these mythological tales. That's like
it was so scary. It was so scary.
It's like sitting next to a campfire, but I think it's even more impactful those nighttime stories because it's that space between consciousness and unconsciousness.
Word, totally.
And you get all this crazy stuff going on. The fears
I'm too
come
little
out.
to know what that means.
Well, you'll find out when you get to college and you try DMT.
No. But that's just rude.
But this is the story about the girl who made the stars is referenced by Michael Burnham, by teenage Michael Burnham in the season 2 premiere when she's talking to little Spock because she's trying to make a connection with him or whatever. But she tells the more traditional version of the story because I guess it's originally from a Zambantha Bushman, for to use the archaic term, tribe in southern Africa. And in that original story, the girl sticks her hand in wood ash and then throws it up in the sky, and that makes the Milky Way. And that's the version that young Michael tells to even younger Spock in the season 2 premiere. This story is different. It's told differently in this episode, in this short trek, but it's I think it's a good variation because they added a bunch of stuff.
The Night Beast.
Yes, the Night Beast.
She was holding an Ephraim doll.
Yes, that's right. Good catch. It's a little Easter egg from the Ephraim and Dot short trek. The other short trek that came out in the same season.
1,000 centuries ago. So the elder there, he was being kind of a jerk face because he was their land was sucking and he was like, oh, it's too scary to go out and get more land. They could have at least sent a scout out or something because if their land is going bad and people are starving, you think somebody, at least one person could be sent out to scout. But
I mean, that doesn't work in a mythological tale. It has to fit very specific.
And I gotta say, I don't really understand this whole idea that they used to not have stars and then she made stars. I know it's supposed to be some kind of metaphor for discovery, ignorance discovery.
There you go, buddy. You got it, buddy. But ask and answer, buddy.
But it's not like you can gift somebody stars. The stars are already up there. So that means that when they gifted the people the stars, they created billions of planets and stars and life, and they just created this whole universe of life just for this one planet to be able to see.
Let's go over a couple things here, Dan. Like let's just.
But that's just rude.
Yeah. Okay. So, firstly, and I think you understand all these things. I suspect you understand all these things. But
the being said,
you're giving me the opportunity to sort of elucidate them, right? First of all, this myth is specifically, it's a creation myth. It's an explanatory myth. We needn't go even one step further and say that it's just a story.
Are you kidding me?
But it is a creation myth. It is an explanatory text that is developed to explain something that was presumed to have happened in the past. People don't know how it actually happened, so they come up with that.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Secondly, the naked human eye, you can only see like 1,500 stars or something like that anyway. You can't see a lot of
So
stars.
maybe they just gave him good vision.
And they don't know that the stars are
maybe
they don't know that they're balls of incandescent plasma.
Maybe
roiling away.
No, maybe the story is
planets around.
Maybe the story is not.
They don't know that.
Maybe the story is not that they gifted them the stars. It's that they were gifted with better vision, so they could see the stars when they couldn't before.
All right.
Maybe that was it.
Maybe. I will concede to you. That is an alternative version of this traditional mythological folktale.
Am I right?
From an actual group of people. Although, yes, this version of it that involves the alien creature is a little bit different. Now, since you seem to have some issue with the logic, the logic you were attempting to manhandle onto a mythological tale. Do you prefer then the version of the story told here, where she's running from a night beast, darkness snake, and then finds a squid alien, a squid vagina alien?
I thought it was more of a squid, octo squid. It was an octo squid.
The octo vagina squid squirts things into the sky to make lights. Do you think that has more logical underpinnings? And this is not a gotcha question. I'm sincerely asking, because it seems to be that you're not into the ash gets thrown into the sky and makes stars. But what about this? What about alien squishy monster squirts things into the sky and makes stars?
Well, the alien monster was kind of a weird addition, just because, like, why was there an alien? Just because it's Star Trek?
I think it was supposed to, yes. First of all, yes, because of Star Trek, but specifically, the added lesson was that initially she's afraid of the dark, right? But to overcome
it was so scary. It was so scary.
To overcome her fear of the dark, she had to overcome what the true motivation for being scared of the dark is, which is fear of the unknown.
Exactly.
Yes, and the fear of the unknown in Star Trek is very well represented by presenting a clearly very alien, in the literal sense of the term, an alien being, and that her reaction was curiosity and kindness as opposed to fear and violence, right?
This is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, that's the lesson, right?
I know.
And that's a great lesson, right? It's great. It's so sweet. It's nice. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what the addition of the alien is, to create that scenario. Because otherwise, what's the story? She turns around and yells at the snake and is like, you're not scary.
The night beast.
Or she throws the ash up in the air. You would have been pissed off at that because you're already pissed off at...
I'm not pissed off.
I don't know.
I'm not going to write a letter or anything.
I don't know. You see... You could have ChatGPT write the letter for you.
No. No.
Yes. Anything else? I did. The only other thing I had in my notes here was something about don't anger Dan's night beast. I don't know exactly.
Whoa.
I don't know exactly what I was referring to.
So yeah, I don't know that's an interesting.
Don't anger Dan's night beast. I'm sure I had something specific in mind.
So this was the end stage of hunter gatherers. They were becoming agriculturalists, right? Isn't that the deal?
Yeah, this is where they were combining.
Snagriculture.
So the thing to remember, of course, about Michael Burnham is that she grows up to be a xenoanthropologist, right? And so they're applying some slightly misleading, slightly old-fashioned anthropological concepts here. But again, because they're combining the science of Star Trek and the Federation, and her parents are Federation scientists, with a mythological tale. And I think that's where there's a little bit of incongruity there, because, it's kind of like you said, like, why wouldn't they figure out that they have to go to a few days hike? Like, why does it take this story? Well, it takes the story because that's the point of the story.
When she came back home, the elder was waiting to scold her. The elder.
All right.
Aluminum.
The spaceship.
Aluminum.
The spaceship.
Aluminum.
The spaceship looked very Close Encounters-y, which I thought was fun.
At the end, when she was like, that was pretty awesome when she turned into that like the queen, and she was like a bow and arrow queen, like ass kicker queen, and she's all jumping at the snake, and the snake's all coming, and that shot at the end, I thought that was pretty cool.
It was,
and the closed captioning, it said ululating.
Ululating.
Yeah, it was just interesting. I've never seen that used in a closed caption.
Here's the thing.
Right, that Xena noise.
Do you think it was too stereotypical or something, or not stereotypical
No.
is the wrong word, but did you have a problem that it was?
I thought it was thought it was superfluous, and I thought it was disconnected from the rest of the story because the story concluded with her already getting rid of the darkness, so she doesn't need to be fighting the night beast snake anymore, right?
Well, it's still there.
I mean, why? The stars are out. They should starve and die. The night beast should be fucking gone.
You can't kill off someone that easily.
And the thing is that I like the idea that like she went on to become an explorer and a queen. I think that's wonderful. But then like that last shot, badass shot, amazing shot, cinematic shot. But why is she fighting the night? She didn't need to be fighting the snake. It's done. That's she won all that stuff already. It's
Boy,
like what's going on?
What a buzzkill.
Well, I'm just saying. That's my only.
That's just rude.
I think they had that image in their mind and they're like, "Fuck, that's awesome. Let's just do it. Let's just fast forward to that, and we'll have that."
The being said.
A bee.
This little thing I'm trying to do is not working. I'm trying to end like people's sentences with
The being said.
because because
we're beings.
That was what was being
Show
said.
them. The being said.
it's like a book. It says hebba debba doo, the dude said. So I was trying to apply that to things you guys were saying. So every time like you guys said something,
Things that were being said.
Yeah, I'd respond with the being said, but it just doesn't. It's not working. It's not working.
Yeah,
it's not working.
All right. Well, then
It was the light inside that guided her. I don't think I need the nightlight anymore. Dad!
Those minor criticisms aside,
I love you, Daddy.
I really like this episode. And again, is another example of the experimentation that you can do in this format that would be cool to see them do a little bit more on. And do like what Pixar does when Pixar has their little shorts. It's a great way to test out the capabilities of young directors, people early in their career, other creatives, writers, etc. Just give them a little bit of money, let them reuse existing sets that are going on, and just go do some Star Trek.
Or make a cartoon.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anything else about
How can
this?
I tell everyone that they don't have to be afraid?
Or
she does a little pause there.
But how can I tell everyone that they don't have to be afraid?
That was an interesting rhythm.
Yeah, it was good.
I mean, I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought you don't have to be shy about it.
I'm not shy about it. It's
You're
just
a podcast host.
No, I'm not shy about it. I was just saying like you don't have to like it's that word not confirm, not reinforce.
Uvulate.
You don't need to validate me, I guess.
Validate? Yeah.
You don't need to validate me. I was just saying
like validating your parking.
I was just saying
Can I finish, please?
I was just making a side comment. I don't need validation from any of you guys.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
Curious.
Excellent. But I assume what you're also saying there is that you've concluded any further remarks about any of these short treks. All right. Well, while Dan thinks about that, I'll go ahead.
What are we going to do? You must show them.
The being said.
A bee.
A bee.
Star Trek. Okay, yes. That's enough for this week.
Michael Burnham's dad was named Mike.
With the short
I know,
treks.
isn't that hilarious?
And next week, as we mentioned, we will be starting
Sabotage.
our coverage of Star Trek Discovery Season 5, the 5th and final season, the final 10 episodes, 2 of which they're playing together I'm
not joking, Lee.
Which is great, I guess, as a Star Trek fan. It's a little aggravating as a Star Trek podcast because it's like
and everyone else will agree with it.
a lot of stuff.
They're not thinking of the podcasters when they do this.
2 episodes.
I'm not joking, Lee.
So
not joking.
We're gonna try to cover both those episodes in next week's episode. One episode next week where we'll cover both whatever they show us, whatever they deign to show us on Paramount Plus or whatever you might access Star Trek.
Whatever they force us to eat
in your country. That's what we'll talk about next week. Dan's algorithm will take a break for a little bit. I'm super excited. I'm looking forward. I'm sad to see Discovery ending, but I'm very excited to see the final season. So now we get to do that.
It's gonna be awesome
next week. Okay. In the meantime,
that's another one. That's another tick I have is when you say "in the meantime," I go "in the meantime."
In the meantime,
da, 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 da. In the meantime,
Patreon. Patreon.com/It's Got
In
Star
the
Trek.
meantime,
you gotta screw loose, Dan.
Last week we talked to ChatGPT. That was pretty cool.
Pay us on Patreon. In the meantime,
www.itsgotstartrek.com.
You can do with your clothes on. In the meantime,
feedback at itsgotstartrek.com. At It's Got Star Trek.
Her name is
all
Kangan.
the social medias. YouTube,
Kangan Earth.
Facebook.
Kung on Earth.
Kunk on Earth.
Kung on Earth. So you guys were saying that one time.
No, it isn't.
Aluminum.
I'm gonna say fuck you, Dan.
Kung on Earth.
I think I said all the bits and pieces. Oh yeah, if you want to send in a voicemail, itsgotstartrek.com/record. Okay.
No.
We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a glorious day.
There was a hormonal space rabbit. He escaped from the lab and then he got loose in here. He's got mood swings.